There's a book that Bill Campbell, the coach of Steve Jobs, Eric Schmidt, and Jeff Bezos, called his management Bible. A book that Ben Horowitz said taught him more about management than anything he ever read. A book that Andy Grove wrote while running Intel, and that still defines how the best technology companies are managed today. Today we're breaking down High Output Management by Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel and one of the greatest operational minds in the history of business. This is not a motivational book. This is a technical manual for being a highly effective manager and leader. Let's get into it. Takeaway 1. Grove opens with a deceptively simple question. What is the output of a manager? Most people would say something like good decisions or strategy or leadership. Grove says no. The output of a manager is the output of their team. This seems obvious once stated, but its implications are radical. If the output of a manager is the team's output, then everything a manager does should be evaluated by whether it increases or decreases that output. Meetings, emails, one-on-ones, reviews, strategy sessions, all of it is measured against one question. Does this increase my team's output? Grove calls this managerial leverage. High-leverage activities are those that amplify a large amount of work with a small time investment. A 1-hour training session that helps 10 people work more effectively is incredibly high leverage. A 2-hour meeting that could have been an email is negative leverage. The action step: list your last 10 activities as a manager. For each one, estimate how much team output it generated. You'll quickly see where your time is going and whether it's worth it. Takeaway 2. The breakfast factory analogy is one of the most memorable frameworks in the book. Grove uses the process of making a breakfast order, egg, toast, coffee, to explain production principles that apply to any business. The key insight is about bottlenecks. In any production process, there's always one step that limits the output of everything else. In the breakfast factory, if the egg takes 3 minutes and the toast takes 2 minutes, the egg is the bottleneck. You can speed up the toast all you want. It won't help until the egg is done. This applies directly to knowledge work. Every team has a bottleneck, the one step, person, or process that limits overall throughput. Optimizing anything other than the bottleneck is wasted effort. Your first job as a manager is to identify the bottleneck and relentlessly attack it. What's the bottleneck in your team's production process right now? Takeaway 3. Grove is emphatic about the one-on-one meeting, not the team meeting, not the all-hands. The individual, private, regular conversation between a manager and each of their direct reports. He argues this is the single highest leverage activity a manager has. It's where you get real information, the things people won't say in group settings. It's where you do real coaching, the personalized development work that can't happen in a group. It's where trust is built. His prescription: one-on-ones should happen regularly, at least every 2 weeks for most roles, weekly for junior people or those in flux. They should be primarily driven by the direct report, not the manager. The agenda should surface whatever is on the employee's mind. The manager's job is to ask questions and listen. How many of your one-on-ones are actually driven by the other person, or are they status updates you control? Takeaway 4. Grove's concept of the task-relevant maturity model completely reframes how managers should adapt their style to each individual. There's no one right management style. There's only the right management style for this person in this task at this moment. Someone new to a role needs directive management, clear instructions, close supervision, frequent feedback. Someone experienced in a role needs delegative management, clear goals, then hands-off. Someone in between needs something in between. Most managers have one style and apply it to everyone. This fails constantly. The micromanager who controls every detail of their senior people's work creates resentment and atrophies their growth. The hands-off manager who gives full autonomy to junior people leaves them floundering and makes mistakes. For each person on your team, ask, what is their task-relevant maturity in their current role? Then match your management style accordingly. Takeaway 5. Grove is unusually direct about performance reviews. He calls them the most important tool a manager has and the one most managers do worst. A performance review's purpose is not to document the past, it's to change the future. Specifically, to identify what this person needs to do differently to perform better in the next period. If a review doesn't result in a clear understanding of what needs to change, it's failed. He also argues that many managers avoid giving difficult feedback during reviews because they are uncomfortable. This is actually a betrayal of the relationship. Withholding honest feedback is denying the person the information they need to improve. It's not kindness, it's selfishness dressed up as kindness. The question for every performance review: does this person now know exactly what they need to do differently? If not, the review wasn't done. Takeaway 6. One of the most valuable chapters is about meetings, specifically, the difference between process-oriented meetings and mission-oriented meetings. Process-oriented meetings are regular, recurring meetings designed to share information and maintain organizational alignment. One-on-ones, team meetings, status reviews. These should be regular, structured, and efficient. Mission-oriented meetings are called to solve a specific problem. They should have a clear objective, a specific output, and they should end. Grove is emphatic. A meeting called to solve a problem should solve the problem and never meet again. If it becomes a standing meeting, that's a failure of management. Most organizations reverse this. They have too many standing meetings that should have been disbanded long ago, and not enough focused problem-solving sessions that conclude and dissolve. Takeaway 7. Grove's concept of dual reporting is a structural solution to a real organizational problem. In complex organizations, the same person often reports to two different managers: a functional manager who owns their skill development and a project manager who owns their day-to-day work. Intel pioneered this in Silicon Valley as a way to balance depth of expertise with breadth of execution. The functional manager ensures you're developing as a professional. The project manager ensures the work is getting done. Both accountability lines are real. This creates complexity, but Grove argues the complexity is worth it. Without it, you either get deep specialists who never learn to execute or great executors who never develop real expertise. Takeaway 8. Grove is direct about why he thinks most knowledge workers underperform. They don't think clearly about their time. Every hour you spend is an hour you're not spending on something else. Time is finite. Its allocation is the fundamental management problem. He recommends managing your time the way a factory manager manages production capacity. Identify the high-leverage activities, schedule them first, and let everything else fit around them. Don't let your schedule fill up with low-leverage activities and then wonder why nothing important gets done. The practical exercise: plan your next week on Sunday. Identify the 3 to 5 activities that will have the most impact. Block those first, then deal with everything else. Takeaway 9. One of Grove's most important principles is about decision-making speed and quality. He argues that most organizations make decisions either too slowly, waiting for perfect information, or too quickly, acting on incomplete information without proper analysis. The sweet spot is what he calls free discussion, clear decision, full support. The team debates freely. A decision is made clearly, everyone knows what it is, and then everyone supports the implementation, even those who disagreed in the debate. The failure mode he observes most often is long, ambiguous discussion followed by an unclear decision that different people interpret differently, followed by half-hearted implementation by those who disagreed. It's the worst of all worlds. After your next important decision, ask, does everyone know exactly what was decided? Can everyone articulate it the same way? Takeaway 10. Grove closes the book with a section on transitions, specifically, how to manage yourself and your team through the kind of disruptive change he called strategic inflection points. A strategic inflection point is a moment when the fundamental forces in your industry change, when something that worked for decades suddenly doesn't work anymore. Grove knew this feeling intimately. Intel had to exit the memory chip business it had founded in order to survive. His advice for navigating inflection points: let go of what made you successful before. The skills, strategies, and mental models that got you here may be the exact things preventing you from getting to the next place. The most dangerous phrase in any organization is "this is how we do things." What mental model have you been holding onto that might be the thing preventing your next level. Subscribe for weekly breakdowns of books that change how you work and lead.